Hello. We are live. We are live. Welcome to the Boston branded special edition Boss Brunch, where we're going to be talking with amazing queen of audio, Lindsay Padilla. She is literally a rock star. I am super excited to have her today. We're going to be talking about audio, Boss Brunch, all the things, heart alignment, all the things. Guys, let's get into it. And I'm bringing her in.
Yay! I'm here. What a cool intro.
Yeah. Thank you.
So good. And funny story, the nail color I'm wearing is called Orange You a Rock Star. So
I
called
love it.
me a rock star, and I'm like, yes. So my nails have been called that.
I love it. Aren't I a rock star? Oh my gosh, I love that. That's super cute. I need to get my nails painted. I think that's what I'm gonna do for the brunch. I'm gonna get my nails
nice. Painted. Yeah, it was nice to be back in that, and doing something like that, because it's been a while.
Girl, I'm like right there with you. I'm like, I literally have just started shopping again, and I'm just like, and I have all these clothes. Like literally, I was talking to my husband. My husband was like, "You have like 10 outfits for the Boss Brunch." I'm like, and he's like, "And you keep buying stuff." I'm like, "Yeah, but I need to have options. I don't know he's like, "Babe, it's like it's 2 days." He was like, "How many times are you gonna be changing your outfit?" I was like, "You know what? Between every guest, I guess."
Perfect. I think that makes perfect sense.
Just be like, "Hey guys."
Yeah, it is a brunch, so you got to wear your best.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So how are you today?
I'm doing fantastic. I mean, it's June 1st. We're in June. So like, whoa, okay. Getting out of like official quarantine stuff here in California on June 15th.
Woo-hoo.
So that's really exciting. Like all restrictions completely lifted. So that's kind of a big deal. And then my husband and I are moving to Atlanta for 4 months. We leave this month. So it's busy
in
around.
Atlanta?
Oh yeah. Do you live there or close?
I do.
This is the best. I passed you too, right?
Oh my gosh, this has just brought me so much joy.
Yeah. I can't announce why publicly yet, but I will DM you. But yeah, so we leave, we're literally booking our tickets right now. We leave like early July, probably like the 30th, the 1st or the 2nd, something like that. And then I stay there until, for right now, October 31st. So it's quite a production, but we may even stay, through the holidays or something. We're pretty open, but we're really excited.
So where are you? Where are we staying near?
I got a spot in Midtown, but like really like over. So we're going to be spending a lot of time at Ponce City Market. Is that what it's called? Yeah. So that's like where I'll be working out of and like doing cool Hello Audio stuff out of. So we wanted to live pretty close to there, but we're just excited. I mean, I've just heard such amazing things about the city. So I think it'll be really cool to live there. Yeah. So are you close?
Yeah. I'm literally like, like 10-15 minutes from the downtown. Like,
yay.
I used to actually work like down the street from Ponce City Market.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So like, that's like my stomping ground. Like it's my hang.
I am so ready. So we are going to see each other regularly.
Oh my gosh. Like I'm over here. Like I have a biking partner now. Yes. Like I have somebody to go to lunch with.
Yes. Seriously.
I'm okay. This is
Get ready to show Derek and I the town for sure.
Oh, I can't wait. I have so many places. I'm super excited.
Cool.
This just made me happy. Guys.
Well, that was a surprise.
I know, I'm just so excited. I was like, yeah. I was like, Atlanta. I mean, literally, this is me I always talk to my husband. I was like, all of my friends live in California. They live all far away. I just want to go out sometimes, and my friends are like hours away. And
Not anymore. At least for a little amount of time. Yeah, we're excited. So there's a lot happening over here. This is going to be a very busy month.
Yeah, it's funny because I'm moving. Well, not we're not moving. I'll be going for maybe like 6, 8 months. I'm going to Nigeria
Oh,
in
dang.
October.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
You're allowed to go then.
So I'll be like, love you, see you later.
Perfect.
Okay, so how was the launch? So tell us all things launch.
Oh my gosh. Hello,
It was so
audio.
amazing.
Oh, thanks. We just did like, I guess we call it like a price increase launch, but it was really tied to us dropping a ton of new features with our product, Hello Audio, basically, which is a software that turns your content into audio feeds so your customers can listen and learn on the go. So things like courses and summits and events and webinars and challenges and lead magnets, like all those things, people are either going all in and making it completely audio, or they're at least offering the audio version so someone could not watch the videos but binge on a podcast, like a podcast style. So yeah, we just released some really cool features that has never been done in the podcasting world. And while we don't really see ourselves as a podcast hosting company, we kind of are, in that we host audios and we deliver them via podcast players. But like, our job is to get people to realize that audio content is a thing. And it's such a great way to repurpose and supplement things that you probably already have. And then if you're getting really fun, you can just have audio only type things. And people love that as a medium. They love to consume via audio. So we have spent the last 2 weeks talking about, the new release and the new features. And then today our prices went up. So we haven't raised prices since November. And we've been adding kind of new stuff this entire time. And so it was time for us to increase prices and be competitive, in the podcast space. And so, yeah, we were just looking at the numbers and we were pretty blown away. We had 134 trials yesterday alone, which was the last day. So everyone waited. Yeah. And I think, just to put this in perspective, I think we had 120-ish new trials all of last month. And that was one of our biggest months of trials yet. So we had that on the last day. So we had over 300 trials this month, which is exciting. And yeah, and we're about to start ads and kind of go down that journey. So yeah, it's been quite a journey with Hello Audio, but we're at this point. It's a year since the creation of the company, and then even prior to that, a year even about prior to that, we were selling lifetime licenses, building some, excitement around it before the software even existed. So it's been a couple years in the making. So to be here is pretty awesome, and we're really excited as a team too.
Yeah, no, I love it. Like, I love the fact of, like, when I was reading, like, how you gave like use cases, I felt like that was so like inventive, and because it kind of like, it made even me like, oh, I could do that, because I was stuck. Like, I was stuck with what to do. I was like, well, I could do a podcast, but do I really want to do a podcast? And I'm like, oh, I can do like private feeds for each of my clients. I can do all these things, and it just like really start like having your brain like go with like all these ideas. It's like me and Rafat, like, we have like this huge list of like, we're gonna do this and we're gonna do this, we're gonna do all the things.
That's so cool. Yeah, we're, and yeah, so we had this private podcast. We will turn it evergreen. We're going to make some adjustments, but we did a private podcast that was live for a couple weeks, and it had, Hello Audio stories, essentially, of how customers were using the product. And it's funny, I had a couple emails and like a couple messages within the last few days, and it was just like, oh, I get it. Like, I didn't quite understand. And that's the thing, when you're like innovative and doing something unique for the first time, there is some customer awareness, some education that has to happen. And what we're kind of doing is creating a category around audio content. Like, when we think about like videos, no one really talks about audios, right? Like, video and like the idea, it's so ubiquitous, it's what everyone uses, and it's still great. Yeah. But there's also this idea that you can really meet people where they're at with an audio version. And so recognizing that audio as a form of content doesn't have to just be podcasts. And I think we've been sitting for the last 15 years thinking that you had to have a public podcast, and that's the only way to create audio content. And if this year has shown us anything with like Clubhouse and all these like social audio apps being created, that, audio content really is a thing that hasn't quite been tapped into yet. And podcast was just the beginning. And so we really want to be the one-stop shop for you to be able to host your audio content and distribute it in a way that makes sense for your people. And yeah, that's really what we're here to do.
No, I love that. And it's funny because you are so amazing. You said yes to me to be at the Boss Brunch, and it literally meant the world to me. But the reason why I invited you to the Boss Brunch, one, because I love you and I think you're amazing. But the second reason is because this whole brunch is all about staying in your zone of genius and doubling down on it. And I felt like that's what you did. Like there's so many things that you could have done, like because you had your courses, you could have done so many things. Like you could have did a video audio thing, but you were like, you know what, I'm just gonna stick here and this is gonna be my lane. Like how did you determine that was gonna be your lane? And then the next piece is like how did that process go?
Yeah, such a good question. I think it's so important to share because when we, as creators, as people who are building businesses and creating a different way of being in the world, like you don't know that it's. So to me, I like when you said like, how did you find, like the lane found me. Like I wasn't out there looking for a lane. I was on another highway. And it was just all of a sudden detour. Yeah, but that's what it felt like. So, I mean, the first time that happened to me, like I was a professor in my past life. Like I taught sociology at the community college level. My husband taught physics. We were living the professor life. And then I accidentally started a business. So that was the first lane change. And I was not expecting it. Like being a professor was my dream. Like it really was. And so I took that leap of faith. And then, fast forward, 3 or 4 years, by serving course creators. So what I did was help people teach online, which totally was in line with what I was doing as a professor. I taught online that whole time. But yeah, our biggest problem that we tried to help solve was course completion. How can we help these people who are creating digital courses create experiences that, allow their people to actually get results? That was why people hired me. I helped with curriculum design and all of that. And so it kept coming up over and over again. And the reality is, no matter what, like you could be the best teacher in the world, like there will be people that can't finish. Same thing in a college setting, right? There were going to be students that fail that have all the potential in the world, but something happened. So we can't get 100% completion, but like, how can we contribute? And, it wasn't through me being like, this is the best idea. I, as a student of someone else's course, wanted to listen to it. And I was saying to my husband, I was like, what, can you create podcast versions of courses? And that just was like a question we had. And, start researching it in early 2019. And there was nothing out there. There was such a thing as private podcasts, which obviously, if you're going to have a $2,000 course on it, it needs to be protected. So we were looking for protected podcast, and there was no real way to do it. And it wasn't until I think like a few months of researching that my husband's like, okay, there's people duct taping it in like WordPress and like doing all this interesting stuff. If you think that course creators really want a podcast version of their course, I think we should create it. And even if Libsyn has private podcasts, and I think Podbean maybe had it at the time.
I think I remember that Podbean had it.
Yeah, they had it. And again, those companies serve podcasters. So they're like, hey, monetize your podcast and like charge for more podcast content.
Yeah.
We were just sitting here being like, you're not serving our people, which are creators. Like you don't have to have a podcast. You should be able to drop a video, never launch a public podcast, drop a video that converts to audio and give it in a private feed. That should be the case. So we really spun it on the head and decided to just target a different group of people. And so, at that time, so in August of 2019, I made a Facebook post. I think it had like 700 comments. And it was like, I think it was along the lines of like, hey, do you want to podcast your course? And people were like, I wish I could listen to podcast versions of courses. Like, oh my gosh, my students would love it. And so we were able to sell $30,000 worth of licenses. And that funded the project. But that fall, you're asking the question, like, when did you like decide to go in that lane, I avoided it. Like I actively said out loud multiple times, I don't want to be CEO of a tech company. I have this other mission. And I had this mission to help teachers. Like I had this mission to actually help educators leave teaching like me, which is funny looking at what 2020 was. But I really was like, they could start businesses. They're smart. They're educated, like blah, blah, blah. And so I felt very clear on that mission. And that's what I was doing all of 2019 was like helping people launch courses. And so I was, starting to consider pivoting into this idea of helping educators start businesses. And that just felt really true and all the things. And so, yeah, I avoided it. And that whole fall was actually looking for a partner of sorts of another podcast hosting company. We were going to, because it was like, why reinvent the wheel? Why not just like try to find a podcast hosting company who would want to service our people? And I could be the representative to help them make sure that product serviced my people. So that was the idea. And yeah, and it wasn't until early 2020 that we decided to actually work on it ourselves and not do a partnership with a podcast hosting company. And so, yeah, it's funny because I look back and I was like, oh, I don't want to be a CEO of a tech company. And then here I am like really doing it all, like raising and like doing it. It's nuts. But so, yeah, sometimes the path, it's like it with the challenges that we even had in early 2020 with the initial launch of our product. It's like, I look at that time and it was even more clear, like the worst possible thing could happen. And I knew I still had to build it. So it was like the universe saying like, oh, you said you didn't want to be CEO of a tech company. Like, do you really want to be CEO of a tech company? And it made me have to claim it in this way that I never thought I would have to claim it. And so that's that like recognizing of like, yeah, sometimes the universe just has to like hit you on the side of the head and make sure you truly want what you're asking for and really show. And that's totally what last year was like as well. So that's a long-winded answer to.
No, that's beautiful though. Like, I think that's really powerful. Like that's really powerful. Like to make so many pivots. Like that was like 3 pivots within 3 years. Well, 2 years.
Pretty much. 2, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. 2 years. So now that you're aligned in your purpose, like, can you even see anything else? Like, or are you just like,
no, not at all. Yeah. It's cool. Like what I've been talking a lot about, having a course business, having, I kind of tried the agency consulting thing for a little while and ended up being like, no, I want to teach. So, having done all of that and built a personal brand over the last 5 years, running a tech company, what's interesting is like all the things I learned doing that translate. And so this is also a call. If you have an idea for a software, like it may feel like you don't know what you're doing in the tech world. The reality is if you've marketed yourself and built a business, that's really valuable in the tech world. Like you may not know how to code, but you know how to sell yourself. And so I would say, like for me, the part that I think, what's the word? Like really solidified that I'm like, the focus like really made me go, this is what I'm doing, was the recognition that I don't have nothing to do with the final product, but I have very little to do with delivering Hello Audio. Like my husband is a partner in the business. He's a co-founder. It's also technically like his brainchild, all of this. He's head of product. So he makes decisions about like, what a page should look like and like what the features should be and then tells the developer, make it. So, he is also kind of in charge of customer service for now, which is really good for head of product to be that involved because that means every problem, he's like actually hearing it from the customer. So he won't be doing customer service forever, but like in the early days of the product, after having a couple hundred customers, now that we're at well over 600, we're going to start transitioning them out. But that he's responsible for that. Whereas everything up until this point as a personal brand, it was all through me. Like everything came through me. And probably a lot of people watching this have that right now. And I never got to the point of like removing myself from my business. I know a lot of my friends have gotten to that point, and it's just part of the struggle and growth of a real company is like, how do you not produce it all through yourself? So I would say one of the biggest changes was like, I physically can't help make the product better. Like I could not build it. I can't tweak it. It's just not my thing. Right. But what my thing is going on summits like this and being on podcasts and just getting to talk to investors, and, build partnerships, things that I love. Like that is my zone of genius, is networking, connection, relationships. And I can talk about things that I love, and I love talking about Hello Audio. So I really, truly am in my zone of genius, not having to do that kind of stuff. And so it's almost like, it forced me into a position where, there's some things I'm still doing that we will remove from my plate, but like, I'm like, probably 70% in my zone of genius in a day-to-day basis on Hello Audio, which is such a beautiful place to be. So, the faster you can get there, the better, as we all know, when it comes to building a business. But that helps me with focus. Like the faster you can remove yourself from the things that are pulling you down, that's when the focus and the space and the joy can really come out of working on what you're building. And that is where, I'm headed to with Hello Audio, and I can feel it, and it feels awesome.
And it's funny that you say that, because one of the things that I'm hoping that people take away from the Boss Brunch is the need to not feel like they have to do all the things. Because I think that is one of the biggest issues that happens is like, as entrepreneurs, we feel like we have to do all the things. We feel like we have to have all the hats, and that's the cool thing to do. And be like, or like, there's so many times that like I'll see like these people that have like e-commerce businesses, and they're in a pool of packages, and they're like, yeah, like all my orders. I'm like, no, you don't why would you want to do that? There's so much more things that you could be doing than packaging orders.
Yep.
But the thing is, like, that's the mentality that so much of us have, is the feeling of doing all the things. But the issue is, when you're doing all the things, what happens is like you'll turn around and you're not aligned with your purpose anymore.
No.
And you'll forget what it is. It's like you're just doing all these things, and you sit, you're like, well, why am I even doing this stuff anyway?
Yep. It's so true. You're so right. Yeah. The more stuff I think we have on our plate, not only that we're not good at, so there's that part of it, like, but even if we're kind of good at it, like I'm pretty good with graphic design. Like I have a good eye, and sure, I've built my presentations like for Hello Audio, but I think, again, back to that joy piece, where I'm not running or building all of our social media content. So that's huge. But like, there are things that I could do that I could, like, you know what I mean? That bring me joy, but I'm slow at it. It's not, I'm not professionally trained. I haven't like whatever. And it's not, something that, again, that I can do quickly, right? It usually takes a long time. It doesn't mean I'm bad at it. And so I think that's the hard part, is where you have that overlap of things that you could probably do pretty good, still doesn't mean you should be doing it. And then you have things that like you are doing that you hate. And like when you sit down and you're like, I can't believe I have to do this. That's dangerous too. And like, we're all going to have things that we don't want to do in our business. But like, if it's like constant, like that's the regular thing on your plate that you could easily give to someone else, that's like, those kind of things change the game. It changes how you feel towards your business. It opens up creative space. I think I've felt like a lot more, I wouldn't say relaxed is the right word, but there's just like some ease and flow to kind of what I do. And I think that is when you're like, oh, this is what this feels like. Yeah. And you don't realize it until you hear it. So there's that too.
Like, it's funny because like, so for me, the first thing that I really delegated is design. And I'm actually really amazing at design. Like I'm great at it, and I can do it really quick. Yeah. And at first, like I could do it quicker than my team could do it.
I bet.
But the issue that I had was, if I stay in this, because I know I'm amazing at strategy, if I stayed in that zone of like trying to just do like design, I wouldn't be able, like it's two different brains. Mm-hmm. Like my creative brain, strategic brains are two different sides, and I couldn't switch easily between the two.
Yeah.
So like if I'm like trying to do design and somebody will come to me asking me a strategic question, I would be like, give me a second, let me come back to you. Like I gotta think, I gotta switch over.
Yeah.
But but like my clients don't want to hear that. They want to hear like, here, give me the gift. Give me the gift. So I had to say, okay, like I'm gonna have to give this design away. Even though I love it, it brings me joy, it makes me happy. But I'm gonna have to give it away because I know where I serve my clients the highest is when I provide them the strategies on how to.
Oh, absolutely. That's huge. And that's the part. Yeah. And I think what you're bringing up is really important. Like, yeah, the zone of genius stuff. What does the guy, Gary Hendricks, that came up with that? What's the one under zone of genius? Zone of like something. It's zone of genius, but yeah, so genius is like you're serving at the highest for other people and all the things. And there's probably a zone right under that you're completely capable, but it's not your actual genius.
And and it's funny. It's so funny because like that for me was like blew my mind. And like it used to be sad because I'm like, especially like when we first got started, because like I'm a person that like I can move very quickly, do stuff, and like that was like my hardest thing because I'm like I can do this like really quickly now, or I can get to them and get it in like 48 hours.
Yeah,
I'm like, let me just give it to them because like I need to like
boss move. That's a boss move right there.
But that's what I had to do, and it's like so that was the first thing that we gave away, and then what happened is I told my team the same thing. What is the thing that like what like I used to ask like what is the thing that you don't mind doing but you really would rather give to somebody else? And they would say, well, I would rather give this piece of my role to somebody else. And then we would hire for that role.
Yep.
And that's literally how we hired our whole team, was based off that strategy of like, what do you not really want to do or what's not really in your zone that you want to delegate? And that's like for now, like all our teams, like they work so fast in their field because they're like, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to learn. This is where I want to hang out. So when I give them like courses and things to take, they get so excited because they're like, oh yeah, this is in my zone of genius. Like, I want to learn how to do these things. But I think like it's funny because it takes you it's a mindset shift that you have to make.
Absolutely.
It's a huge mindset shift. And I think for me, the biggest mindset shift was to feel like it's okay for people to be better than me in certain things.
For sure. Yep.
Like I don't have to be the best in every piece of my business because I'll hire somebody, I'll hire or train somebody to be the best.
Yep.
So I don't have to do all of the things.
Yep. I know. Yeah. And I think for me, it's like, I felt like I didn't really get there in my other business. So that's the thing is this like was forced because literally I can't code. So like, you go ahead and be in charge of the delivery and I'll just bring us customers and like relationships and networking. So for me, it was a little forced. So I feel like you're more boss than me by making that decision in your own business on your zone of genius. Cause that is really hard.
Well, the thing is, like, so it's funny because one of the people that's speaking, Stephanie Duff Blake, I forgot what I was watching from her, but it was around the time I had just started my business, and she was telling like us to take like this strengths and weaknesses test, and I was like, well, let me take it because I need to make sure I have my life together before I just goes out.
I might need the link to that. Let me know what you got on that.
So I take the test, and it was like consistency was like at the bottom, and I was like.
I bet that's me too.
I was like, well, if I want to run a successful business agency where we're doing the same things over and over again, clearly I can't be the only person that does it.
No. Yeah.
So our agency side, the team runs all of it. And it's not, I touch like even now because I hired like an integrator, I don't really even touch the delivery because she knows like what to expect. And she's like, okay, all is good. And I might like breeze over it. But it took that because I'm like, Carrie, that's not your strength. That's like, it's funny. Like my big sister says that I fade to black. When I start doing stuff that goes like, that's like, we're super repetitive. She's like, she's fading.
Watch out. Yeah. Yeah, same.
But like having conversations, talking strategy, like playing around, like talking about people's businesses, like that's my thing. Like I love talking about branding. I love talking about all that stuff. That stuff brings me joy. So for me, it made it easier for me to make that switch and say, hey, okay, this is the agency work. Like, let me figure out a way to simplify this process as much as possible so I'm not your bottleneck. And really, it's funny. I went to FHL last year. Was my first year. Well, 2020, yeah, 2020 last year.
Oh yeah, because it was right before COVID.
Right before COVID, right before everything went away. And Tony Robbins was speaking, and he was like, "Don't be the bottleneck of your business." And I'm literally sitting there next to Lindsay Mustang, the other Lindsay, and Becky North, and I'm like, I don't want to be the bottleneck.
Yep.
And I was like, I just have to start delegating stuff out, or I need to create automations or systems that I put in my business so I can stay in my zone of genius and they can stay in theirs. And then I can stay in my purpose and my mission.
Yep.
Because every time I try to do all of these things, because like this year, like I feel like it's very similar to where I was. Like everybody was telling me to do all of these things. So I'm trying to do all of these things, trying to like do this, do that, go live 10 times a day and go create an email list and go over here and do that and do here that. And then like I'm looking around like, hold on, why am I even doing all this? Like I haven't even talked to my customers this week because I'm over here trying to create all this content.
Right. Right.
Like I don't even know what I'm doing anymore.
People that paid me aren't even like, getting the thing. Yeah.
They're like, here, where are you? And I'm like, I'm just trying to do the things. I'm just trying to do the things. And I had to stop. Like I had to stop and say, like, why am I even like what is the reason for me to do this? Like, is the activities that I'm doing actually really align with my heart? Like, is it something that actually feels good and comfortable to me to do? Or is it something that I'm just doing because of what everybody says that I should do? And what I had to do is I had to say, like, what is the activity for me that's going to be aligned with my heart, that's going to seem easily and effortlessly for me to do? And for me, it was having conversations.
Yeah, there you go. Yep.
I love talking to people. I love having conversations. That's what I didn't like. If I look back at all of the things that I've done in my life, having conversations, being like talking to people has always been my way of building relationships. So I said, if I can just double down on that, it should work and it should be fine. And that's what we did. And I didn't have, and like, yeah, we do social media, yeah, we do all this other stuff, but it was after we felt comfortable with our relationship building. And then we were like, okay, we'll play with Instagram. Okay, Instagram's solid. Okay, let's go to Facebook. Facebook is solid. We're in LinkedIn. LinkedIn is still up in the air. So like we're not doing anything else because we need to be able to create alignment with everything that we do. So we're not feeling like we have to do all the things. It's like I always say, like, do one thing amazingly. Don't do all like 7 things just okay. Lindsay, come back. Lindsay had a technical difficulty. But yes, guys, so that is kind of what we have going on at the Boss Brunch this year. And I am so excited because like the speakers that we have are so freaking amazing. We have Lindsay Padilla, Lindsay Mustang, so many amazing speakers. Latasha Mitchell, the JV matchmaker, she is amazing. So many amazing people, and it's a gift. It is literally a gift to have these people because literally all of them are going to be coming to you talking about how they're staying in their zone of genius, how they're aligning with their purpose and their mission, which is that heart alignment and not just the alignment to feel like you have to do all the things. It's finding the thing that you can do in your business that is super aligned with your heart and your spirit. She's back.
I'm back. That was crazy. So I was trying. Oh, there it is. I was trying to mute myself because whatever you just said, Google thought I should. It was like, okay, I'm playing the inspiration music, and it just started blasting music. And so I was like trying to find the mute button, and I was clicking on myself, and I hit stop mic and cam, and that just kicked me out. So I'm back though. I'm literally watching you. I'm like in chat. I'm like, I'm here. I can't turn it back on. Anyways, I'm back.
No, that was amazing. Yeah, but no, that is my thing, is like staying in alignment.
For sure. It's huge. And your like boundaries as a business owner, like, you know, everyone says this, but like having a business and like a personal brand is like, you know, going to therapy like every day. Like it's like very intense. It's like transformation on steroids because you're just facing your own crap. But like, yeah, so like your boundaries and things that you need to like work through are different than mine. And so like, it's just like everyone has to find where their like thing they have to like break through is to get to the level where it's like you can delegate easier. And delegation for some people is like super easy, and that's like not a question, but maybe it's something else. It's money, or it's like, you know, whatever. And so yeah, we're all like on this journey and we're parallel and we're doing it next to each other. But like the lessons I have to learn are totally based on my life and my experiences, and, you know, everyone else the same. And so it's like everyone trying to find that alignment, is kind of like what we're here to do, right? On the planet is like, what are you here for? What are you doing? Yeah. And we're all just trying to figure it out. And it's cool though, to be with a bunch of other people who are on that same journey. And that's like, what is cool about spaces like this is like, that's, you know, why we're here. We're all trying to help each other figure it out, because we know that, yeah, we can help each other shine, and we can, you know, help other people make that impact, because that's part of it too. But I always like to highlight that, like, you know, what it takes, like what shit I have to think about and go through and all the things is different from yours, but we're all trying to get to the same thing, that alignment, that, you know, heart-centeredness, that like making an impact, because otherwise, yeah, why are we even doing this?
Yeah, like, why are we doing this? And I think the biggest thing is like, it's that moment that you have to slow down. Sometimes you have to slow down. You have to listen. Like, a lot of times we listen to our head. And I know for me, like, my head always gets me in trouble.
Mine's like, a mess. Let me tell you.
But it's like the moment that I stop and I listen to my heart, like, I'm always good. So that's the thing. Like, sometimes you just have to sometimes slow down and listen to your heart, and like listen and like let that guide you to what you feel is right, because sometimes doing all the things is not right for you.
No,
and it's okay.
Pretty much usually never right.
Yeah, it's never right. And it's just like, sometimes it's like you just have to say like, I'm okay with just doing this. And I'm just going to worry on this one thing one time. Like, yes, everybody would tell you all the things that you could do to be able to hit these levels and do these things. But if it doesn't feel in alignment with who you are and your heart and your spirit, like, don't do it. Don't feel the pressure. Like, stay in alignment with your heart and your mission, and stand fast in it, and then walk strongly and confidently through it.
Yep.
And that's what we're going to be talking about at the Boss Brunch.
And that's it. Yeah. Yeah. Super fun.
Yeah, and that's all. And that's the thing. Like, so that is my goal. Fingers crossed. I feel like it will happen, but that is my goal, that everybody will take away the fact that they want to like get realigned with their heart, and to remove the stigma that is you have to do all the things, because you don't have to do all the things. You only have to do the one thing that's going to work amazingly for you. And you're amazing.
You're amazing.
Guys, I am so grateful for you today. Lindsay, thank you so much for hanging out with me.
Of course. This was super fun.
Yeah, this was super fun. And we will see you guys literally in 9 days. I can't believe it. It's like coming fast in 9 days for Boss Brunch 2021.
Whoop, whoop.
Whoop, whoop. Bye, guys.